Yeah.
I love my HBCU, and boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one.
Yeah, man.
I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I say Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. You know Mike is still on assignment. I am supposed to catch up with him tomorrow, but Charles is on assignment too now. So we got a full team in the slate. It's gonna make sure you get your news from Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So welcome to episode 647 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it the HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending the signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, I should say, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let's bring our other colleagues, co-hosts on the show today. That's David L. Rose. That's Brian Fulford, as well as Wilton Jackson II. Is back in the building. So today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational, consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, David, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. It's almost Friday. It's almost Friday. We got our big spring game on Saturday. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to make it. But we also got a big athletic foundation meeting Saturday morning prior to the game, so I'll definitely be able to get on that via Zoom. So
is it really like that? He said it thank goodness Friday.
Wilton
Jackson II, how are you doing?
I kind of got to echo what David said. It's been a long week, so I mean, I'm glad it's almost Friday too. I mean, I've been good for the most part. I mean, just
the rule was don't look at the stock market. Don't look at the stock market.
Hey, I was fine looking at it yesterday, Dr. Cavil. I was good yesterday. Yesterday was great, and then reality set back in today.
Yeah, that is real.
Yeah, that's why I told you don't look. Brian, how you doing today?
My head's spinning a little bit, Doc, but I'm good. I'm good, man. I tell you, I'm spinning watching this game of musical chairs that these swag athletic directors are out here playing on the rest of us. So my eyes are spinning and my head hurts.
My tweet of the week, Brian, is this: petty comes at a cost.
Oh wow.
That's my tweet of the week.
I like that.
Well, you know, there's always been that saying is, you know, one man's garbage is another man's treasure.
One man's treasure, another man's treasure. Yeah.
In this case, one coach's is another person's treasure in this case. Yes. So with that, Brian, I'm gonna let you lead off since you're the hot one out here.
Well, Doc, it looks that according to first reported by my girl Liv Antilla at Live for Hoops, if you don't know.
She's killing the game right now, right?
Love what she's doing right now, man.
I tell you.
Shout out to
Liv. Yeah, well, she sent this out. She sent out a tweet, 4:02 in the afternoon. Sources: Grambling has targeted their search on a men's basketball coach on Patrick Crary for the next head basketball coach. Announcement tomorrow. Of course, those of you who don't know, Crary finished his first season at FAMU, the most wins in a single season since 2008. Also got the first tournament win since joining the conference in 2021. And I can confirm that that is official, as Crary will become the new men's basketball coach at Grambling State University. It's believed, and I say all this because I want to allow Grambling to do the official, but from my sources, and you guys all here probably hear the same things that we do. It's believed to be a 4-year plus an extension contract, might even be an extension on top of that. So at least a minimum of 4 years, which is 3 more than what my glorious board of trustees at Florida A&M University approved. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so and from a salary perspective, because it's out there, right? I saw
30, I think, right?
What 230? 230. So at minimum, it is already 80,000 more than the initial contract, which our glorious board at Florida A&M didn't approve. Thanks again, guys. Which our AD came back later in getting a 2-year extension, and I'm putting air quotes in because really it was essentially 2 more years on top what should have been the second and third year originally. So anyway, and I think I was also told or heard that there was at least maybe a $30,000 buyout in the contract. So that's nothing when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for Patrick Crary.
That'll help you with on the board, the VP of Athletics, with the consulting company fee.
Doc.
What consulting company? What consulting company?
We don't need a consulting
fee. Everybody usually search for.
They already know who their coaches they want to be.
Fee.
Them jokers on the board of trustees. They already got a man in place.
Their consulting fees already on the board, Dr. Cavil. The consultants are there.
Exactly.
They're paying themselves.
The consultants are there. We don't need the outside help. Even though we apparently already we go to a consultant for everything anyway. So we'll give somebody some extra money to do something.
Hopefully
that
the FAMU
we should
alone.
allow our AD to do anyway. We just like throwing money around, except in the right places. But that's what we do at FAMU sometimes. So anyway, let me stop before I get more in trouble here, Doc. I'm sure we got more to say.
Let's pull him off. Put him back.
I'm gonna stop.
We want to make sure that you can go
I got it.
home.
Look, I'm gonna save most of mine for MD, but I told y'all, man, you can't do that to a coach.
Nah.
You can't do that to a coach.
And not expect him to stay.
You can't do that and expect him to stay.
Like
as soon as he started winning games, I said, he gone, guys. He gone.
You sound like the former vice president. I didn't want to say it, but I told. Never mind. We're gonna all be in trouble today. Save us, Wilton. Save us. What's on your mind? What's the hottest news on your mind?
Well, when you're looking at the news today, I'm looking at Alabama A&M Inc.'s a groundbreaking alliance with professional services firm from this comes from HBCUGameDay.com. Alabama A&M Athletics and Deloitte's U.S. College Athletics practice have entered into a groundbreaking alliance, marking the first collaboration of its kind between Deloitte and historically Black colleges and universities. The innovative alliance will position Alabama A&M for long-term success by sharpening its strategic vision and enhancing its fundraising capabilities. Deloitte, recognized as the world's largest professional services firm, will work closely with Alabama A&M's leadership, coaches, and university stakeholders to define strategic priorities that align with the department's long-term vision and establish a high level of implementation to drive measurable progress. The strength of Alabama A&M and Deloitte brands, combined with the shared commitment to innovation, leadership, and excellence, will guide this alliance. This alliance underscores Alabama A&M's commitment to building a championship caliber athletics program that delivers first-class experiences for its student athletes and elevates the Bulldog brand nationally.
That's the Alabama A&M, Dr. Brown, making some statements around here. He took his little time, a year in the mix, and slow played everything. All of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Okay, Magic City here. Consulted company, Deloitte here, coaching hire here, plugging somebody away, coaching hire there, plugging another person away, coaching hire here. So he has 3 new coaching hires he made, top 3 sports, if you would, revenue sports, if you want to call them that. Interesting what's going on in Alabama A&M, and just when you think the shift may go east for basketball, the West says not so fast. So with that being said, and obviously I know in SWAC basketball there's not an East and West, but everybody likes to talk about the East and all these other sports, but they just somehow forget the basketball, particularly on the men's side. So I just wanted to remind ONG Strike Zone as they were putting out their chest last night. The West has something to say in basketball. David, how you?
They're gonna have a lot to say to them for sure now. So they get a coach.
I'm wearing a baseball jersey. I want y'all to recognize I'm wearing a baseball jersey today,
Oh no, I see it. And that jersey's fly. I will say that jersey is fly, sir.
That is nice. That is nice.
It's cold.
It is nice.
Yeah. All right.
Sitting at the top of the conference.
First place, baby.
Nothing wrong with that.
Trying to do something right.
Something right.
David, what you got going on? What's on your mind?
The article that fascinated me is HBCU looking for state help with athletic facilities from HBCUsports.com. Citing fears of federal funding cuts to all institutions, one HBCU has reached out to their state government to help fund athletic projects. Delaware State University has asked for $125 million in funds over a period of time to upgrade the athletic facilities. At Thursday's Delaware Capital Improvement Budget Committee hearing, as reported by Sean Green of Wilmington radio station WDEL. University President Tony Allen was joined by new head football coach Deshaun Jackson and baseball coach Pedro Swan, who's an alumnus of the school who played parts of the 3 seasons in the majors. Our field is way below standards, Swan said of the Hornet baseball team's current home at Bob Reed Field, part of the school's acquisition of the former Wesley College in downtown Dover. Our kids work hard every day to trying to maintain the field and make the best of what we have, but it's disheartening every time we go to the road and just see how much better the facility can be when we play amongst our peers. Jackson adds that the current football stadium locker room setup makes it hard for Delaware State to attract top recruits. It's kind of shaming to be able to be in a position where you're at a Division I school and can't brag about your facilities, Jackson said. DSU funding plan calls for $25 million to construct a football field house, which would include a 50-yard indoor field, upgraded locker rooms, coaches' offices, and a potential home for the Delaware Interscholastic Athletic Association offices. The next $10 million will be for upgrades to the Alumni Stadium and the DSU downtown campus athletic facilities where the baseball, women's soccer, and women's lacrosse teams play. And finally, the largest chunk will go towards a new convention center arena, replacing the 43-year-old Memorial Hall. It's a new era for DSU athletics. People ask me all the time, why should we be focused on athletics? It's because it's the front porch of the university, Allen said.
I like that Allen is going after it. I'll be interested to see how much he can get. We talked about on Tuesday, another state, North Carolina, Winston-Salem State.
Yep.
I'm asking state for some facility upgrades and help. We'll see what that looks like. And
A&T's on the docket too with Winston as well.
Okay.
They're on the docket too. They're trying to get a convention center going right now.
Yeah. I think convention centers of all the different facilities you can ask for oftentimes are doable because you have your graduation ceremonies in there. And so you can sell it a lot as an athletic facility as an academic facility or part of it, or connected to your general fund from that perspective. So oftentimes that'll float. Football stadiums, unless you have a significant large institution, maybe like A&T, well, oftentimes you might do your graduations outside, and that helps you potentially try to make the argument for a stadium. But combination, it's going to be interesting. And if Delaware, in terms of that area, do you get the support from the state legislatures to get that done? So I'm fascinated on that. While we at it, it looks like Jake Morton set to become Alcorn State's head new basketball coach. As we talked about that early on, we had the report that the assistant coach coming out of Jackson State, it's our understanding, that is broken down. Some of that may be, to some degree, the commitment that Alcorn was going to bring to the table. Somewhat what we're hearing out there. So we'll let you marinate a little bit on that perspective. But, when one opportunity is not made and somebody else has the opportunity to step up, and it looks like Jake Morton will be the individual for Alcorn State. Prairie View and Alabama State are still looking for women's basketball coaches. So we'll see what it looks like. And then we just heard that Morehouse on the men's side, after several 20-win seasons, co-championships, regular season, the men's basketball coach, head coach Doug Wheatler and assistant coach Terry Polk will depart from their roles at Morehouse College effective immediately. This sounds like some disagreement may have taken place. We similarly saw this with the football coach, and as the football coach was the alumni, so is the men's head basketball coach. He played there. So challenge. This is done by the outgoing president. Remember, this president had announced his retirement, and it's coming up to his final days. So interesting if we'll ever find the backstory of what goes on there, but tough to kind of see that when it looks like a basketball program coach has the institution going in a solid direction, and hopefully it wasn't anything outside of the normal, just agreements, which is still bad enough. But with that being said, let's take our first break. Come back on the other side. We'll talk about some other academic side of the house in terms of looking at business from sports connected with HBCU. Get your little thoughts on that. So to take our first break, come back on the other side. We'll talk about that. And then the second half of the show, we'll get into some baseball talk and some matchups and see what these gentlemen say is going on the diamond. Brian surely will like that. But with that, we'll take a first break and come back on the other side.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Wilton Jackson II, David L. Rhodes, and Brian Fulford. If you would, let's pull on the screen a little bit. I want to talk about this conference putting together here at Texas Southern University in partnership with the Department of Health, Kinesiology, and Sports Studies, as well as the Department of Athletics. April the 24th to 25th, we are having a HBCU sports conference where we will be bringing in commissioners of HBCU conferences on Thursday for them to talk to students about getting into the business, if you would, as well as thriving in the business. So we'll get a chance to talk about what that looks like. This is coming out of the Center Africana Futures at Texas Southern University, which we will proudly present the AI in Athletics, understanding the value of historic brand association, innovation, digital media for future growth and persistence, and it's as part of the HBCU Sports Ecosystem Symposium Series. I'm excited about being able to lead this from the front as the Dean of the College in partnership with Dr. Tanisha Taylor out of the School of Communication and work that she does as the director of the Center for Africana Futures. She has been doing this type of work and allowed me to partner with it. And this is an opportunity to bring some of the leadership of HBCUs, some of those influencers together to talk about the current state of HBCU athletics as the college landscape, as we all know, is changing. We're in the midst of what we thought this week would be the announcement of the House versus NCAA settlement. Still looks like most people believe it's going forward. They did meet Monday. That was of the day when the NCAA men's championship was held that night. And with that perspective, it looked like they were going to push forward. And they said about a week, we probably will have an announcement as she asked them to look at some things. But with all those things on the table, NIL, whether you're going to opt in based on the fact that if this settlement is approved, you have the opportunity to opt in or opt out of that $20 million. Obviously, you don't have to spend that, but there's a lot of framework of what that looks like. And so we want to have some of the discussion. We want to make sure our students are involved on the front end. They get an understanding of what this looks like. My sport management students, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, some business students across the campus, communication students, many of them wanted to get in sports. And oftentimes the professional level is an angle, collegiate level, whether that's what I refer to now as the Super Two and the Power Two, collectively formerly known as the Power Five, that has readjusted itself as I talk about conference chanting all the time. Now we have our students have an opportunity to sit and talk with folks as we've taken them to different conferences. So we also want to put a lens on HBCU conferences at the collegiate level. That being said, I'm going to go to you first, Brian. And what are your thoughts of hearing this type of announcement, this type of event?
Well, Doc, I think the biggest challenging question that I think every athletic department should be asking themselves is how they can better navigate this new space of college athletics. And I think utilizing the resources within their campus are more paramount than ever. You have, from a technology standpoint, from communications to business, you have professionals, people like yourself, who are in roles teaching the things that your athletic department uses on a daily basis. Your department could be benefiting from on a daily basis. So I think if you're able to explore and discuss how to get the university to come on board and see the added value, then I see a win-win opportunity here. And I think HBCUs, I really felt like, and I can't use every school. I can only use the one that I love to death. But I've always felt like there's a disconnect between athletics. And I see Dave shaking his head. So, I mean, that's probably happening to his school, Wilton, maybe his, and Doc yours. But I know in my school, I feel like there is a disconnect, and I've never understood why. And so this is a great opportunity. And I hope, Doc, I don't know, hopefully university presidents, with everything, this is the one thing we got to remember. This is all happening in athletics. And Doc, you always remind me this, and I'm aware of it, but I'm always reminded. It doesn't happen, folks, without the knowledge, consent, blessing, understanding of the presidents of your college and university. It may seem like they're hiding under a desk and don't have any idea what's going on, but that's just to keep us off the trail. They're the ones, none of this is happening without their knowledge, right? So somehow there's got to be more involvement, more synergies here. And I hope this symposium is able to help bring that forth.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Wilton, I'm gonna go to you since you fighting with us. We're gonna tease you about upgrading your Wi-Fi system.
This is extra great.
That big money, and we're giving you your allowance. Your work that you do here. Use that money. Instead of buying these. I know you like nice things, nice clothes, but your wardrobe is pretty tight. You don't have to have something new all the time. Right. Spread some of the love. But in all seriousness, if you would, Brian, slide it down just a little bit, so people can see a little bit of some more of that wording in there. That'll do it. Yeah. But as you heard us talking about this conference, we're going to have a Texas Southern Symposium, to be specific. AI, athletics, understanding the value of historic brand association, innovation, digital media for future growth and persistence. It's part of this HBCU sports ecosystem series that we'll be doing this more often for our students, quite regular, if not multiple times a year, certainly at least once. And we're looking at doing it via semester, depending on how we can push things forward and the buy-in we get. What are your thoughts in terms of how you can specifically take things that are outside of the HBCU scope and ask those questions internally from HBCU leadership in regards to how they see the environment, specifically looking at HBCUs in the athletic framework?
As far as how it interacts with AI, how they would use
AI, digital media, brand associates, innovation, all the things that are cutting edge. How do you bring them into the fold?
I think you start with doing some of the things that you guys will be doing with this conference. I mean, here's the thing. I can remember about 2 years ago, well, maybe not even 2 years ago, almost a year ago, I was sitting in a conference. It was more of a journalism conference, and we were talking about AI and like some of the things that were going to come with it and how it's being used. And of course, we as journalists, the humans that we are, we're looking like, why would we want, artificial intelligence or anything like that doing the work that we do? But the reality is that it's only going to continue to get worse. Well, not worse, but like it's only going to continue to be used. So I think that if you look at it from that standpoint, and you always want to stay from a cutting edge side of things, students are going to be using it. I can tell you right now, as a professor, I know my students use ChatGPT. I know they use these things every day. So as a matter of fact, some have told me, pulled me to the side, say, yeah, Professor Jackson, you can do this you could generate a picture, you can generate a headline for a story and things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, I sure hope you're not doing this on your assignments, because if that's the case, you getting bad grades. But I say all that to say this, from a standpoint of using it for athletics, brand recognition, things like that, I think that the more we can kind of get acclimated to using it properly for to more so generate a positive image for what we're trying to do, I think it's a good thing, in my opinion. It's certainly not going anywhere.
I appreciate that.
It sure ain't.
That's true. So Dave, jump in here and tell me your thoughts.
So I think this is great from a conference standpoint. I think this is big, but to kind of circle what Brian was saying involving like the synergy, I think we have, and I'm pretty sure every HBCU has it, they have students who love the institution that they're at, and they let social media know how much they love it. And I don't think we do an adequate job in pushing that forward or giving those students those opportunities if possible when it comes to trying to help out in some of these things from an athletic standpoint. Like you have some, like there's some institutions where like the marching band's got a better videographer than the football program. That's I'm serious. Like, I mean, seriously, like I'm just like when you those are the type of things where you have the talent on your yard. You should leverage it. Now, when it comes to AI, man, it's funny you mentioned AI in journalism where HBCU Game Day uses it all the time. And I don't blame them. You should.
Yeah, and they just make the mention that it is AI, and then it's front facing when you do that, particularly from that perspective. Absolutely.
Yep. So I think we have to adapt and embrace the technology that we have and use it to our advantage because that's what everybody else is doing. Like if we don't, we're gonna continue to fall behind, and that's the last thing we need right now. So and don't get me started with NIL. Like we're having a big athletic meeting to discuss the forward plan about how to manage NIL long term from anti-athletics perspective. So,
and the other thing about this meeting is to understand that I think the challenge that you also have from sports, because there's the natural competition side of this, right? You know, Prairie View, Texas Southern, when they go at each other in athletics, you know, they leave nothing on the table. We've heard some of the legendary rivalries between Grambling and Southern. Obviously, for the fans, oftentimes, you know, it's one thing off mixed with family, but on the playing surface, everybody wants to win. Jackson and Alcorn, you throw in Valley with both of those programs. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, FAMU and Bethune-Cookman in terms of those mix. And now we get some of these crossovers, whether it's Southern and Jackson State. I know some people want to look at the FAMU and Jackson State differently, but it's my show, so I can say what I want to say. It is what it is in terms of that matchup. But this is also, as these individuals work together when they have their meetings, this is also a space to bring in more folks to talk about how do we create an environment. And I think more than ever, when we kind of joked about, you know, on the first segment financially what that means, but in this environment, as we see, I think it's going to become even more important that we leverage what that looks like. We leverage it more and more. So I thought it was important to put this out there first to say, let's bring some of these key folks together. I've seen them. I know a lot of them work hard. And I think sometimes because we see the success of other organizations that are financially in a different disposition as fans, alumni, in this perspective that we can quite get disconcerted and frankly sometimes frustrated that things are not moving fast enough. And oftentimes that is based on the resources. But if we can find a way to cultivate those resources where we're collectively working together, it allows us to maybe move a little further. And so the things that we see, what I call better branded institutions, being able to get done is directly related oftentimes because of the financials they have. It's never stopped us before, but it is something that we have to understand that it's real. I want to give a shout out to Provost here at Texas Southern University, Dr. Goodman, in terms of supporting this from the academic units, Dr. Penn Marshall, VP of VP of Innovation in terms of looking at how we move forward of research. Last week we had TSU Research Week, Innovation and Action, Advancing Participation in Research, Entrepreneurship, and Community Engagement. So one of the things that we're looking at from an institution is not just the research, but looking at developing freshmen when they come in, particularly in a freshman seminar class, where they also get the basics from that perspective, but to start looking at what it means to consider entrepreneurship. After you develop yourself, get your basics down in whatever core business, working somebody, at some point you look at what does it mean to become an entrepreneur. Also, the community engagement. HBCUs have always been based on the community, but over a period of time, we may have gotten away from that a little bit. So we want to make sure our students understand the functionality and the importance of that. So I wanted to shout those people out, particularly, obviously, President Crawford, that allows this to go down for Texas Southern University in terms of holistic look at that. I wanted to close out and thank them for the support they provided me as the Dean of the College Education in the Roderick R. Page building here at Texas Southern University. We'll take a second break, come back on the other side. We'll get back into some baseball talk. I want to get their thoughts in terms of how the baseball landscape is coming out there. Interesting when this week will give us the halfway mark for the SWAC. They're way past that in the SIAC. So we'll see what these gentlemen think about where teams sit in the conference, where we can expect it. We'll give Dave to even share a little bit on the independent of North Carolina A&T. They were right there, but reality may have hit them. But we still
tough loss last night.
Yeah, it happens. It happens across the landscape. But hey, we push forward. With that, take a next break and come back on the other side, and let's get back into some baseball. They even share some love to softball.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Human Voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit HBCUPrideJoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Brian, Wilton, and David. As we get back into the talk, I want to give a little bit of update in terms of the SWAC standings. Remember, this is the first year where you do not have it broken up into East and West. The SWAC will still play 30 games, but instead of playing home and away in terms of your division, your 5 other division members, now you will play a 10 games slate. So you'll play teams from what was the opposite division. You will play, one team will not be on your schedule from all the 12 members. So you'll play 10 of the 11. And with that being said, this weekend will make the halfway mark. For those teams that were able to play all the games, that will get 15 of them in. And you see the top teams in the conference are really stretching things out. I'm going to start for those at the bottom. We won't discuss these, but I do want to get it out there. Alcorn State, 0-12, struggling this year, 4-24, I should say, lost the last 10. You have Alabama A&M that's kind of played up and down, but it hasn't really worked out in conference play. Played some close games, but hadn't been able to get those W's. They sit at 2-10, 8-23 overall, and they lost 7 in a row. So they're really struggling at this mark. Arkansas Pine Bluff, 3-6 overall. They had a series canceled against Prairie View last week, canceled because of the weather, but they've lost 5 in a row. Yeah, Mississippi Valley State, that it started off and had a good move, but then they ran into one of the Florida schools, and then they'll host another Florida school, so it might not get much better, but they've lost 3 straight. So that's your bottom 4. Your next 4 is Jackson State, which is surprising a lot of folks. 4-8. They lost 4 straight, including being swept by a team over there in Tallahassee. That does not sit well with those Jackson folks. But baseball dynamic is where the Rattlers kicking up a lot of dirt and getting it done. I'll say that. Behind that is another team, Southern, formerly of the West Division, that is struggling a bit. They sit at 5-7. They have won 2 straight, picked up some needed wins. And then you have Prairie View that's sitting at 4-5. They lost 6 straight. It'll be interesting to see how this rained out series. They didn't get any of the games in terms of that. They played Southern early and took 2 out of 3, which is the one to get done off of Nola, but they got Grambling coming in this weekend, but we'll talk a little more about that later in the last segment. And then you have Grambling sitting at 7-5. They've lost 2 straight, tough series that they took on. A couple of losses to Jackson State. Lost 2 out of 3 a couple of weeks ago. So they're sitting in the middle of that pack, if you would. Top 4 teams, you'll notice a refrain when we talk about this. Alabama State sitting at 9-3. They've won 3 straight. Texas Southern 10-2. They won 7 straight. Bethune-Cookman at 10-2, and they won 3 straight. FAMU is at the top. Just a 1-game lead, though. They're sitting at 11-1, but they've won 3 straight. Of the top 4, 3 of those 4 are formerly of the Eastern Division. That probably doesn't surprise a lot of folks, but it is what it is. With that being said, I'm going to go to you, David, on this. What are your thoughts in terms of, let's look at those top 4 teams. And obviously you can talk about a team that may concern you in terms of where they sit now, or you might go in a different direction. But what are your thoughts in terms of, as we hit this midway, where baseball is leaning to in the SWAC?
Texas Southern has to defend the West on their own, is what I'm thinking. They're the only ones that are in the top 4. It's like they're like they won a lot. They won 7. It's like 7 straight in a row. Texas Southern is defending the West like by themselves right now. So I'm fascinated.
Yeah, they literally holding up the life of the West. You're correct.
So I'm fascinated to see if they can pull away and potentially end up winning the conference. But it's tough to get past the Florida schools, man.
They'll have their chances. They face those teams. They face FAMU. So it'll be interesting. You'll get those matchups, which will be good when you get some of these matchups between these top teams to kind of spread stuff out. Also, you'll do that in the middle to see who can stay in the race to make sure.
6 teams make the playoffs, right? Makes the tournament, right?
8, top 8.
8 makes it. Man.
Still okay. 8 make it. In the division, it was top 4 in the division, so 2 wouldn't make it out of the division. But you're still having the top 8. Unlike basketball, where they're doing 10 and then you get all 12. I don't see that for baseball because you play the doubleheader, so you play so much. It's gonna be harder to make that argument.
There's only 6 that go into the CAA, so that's why I said.
Yeah, CAA is just 6, which is the same thing because of the arms. They're trying to save some of them arms.
Yeah.
So it gets interesting what that looks like. Wilton, go to you next. What are your thoughts in terms of baseball? We hadn't heard your thoughts on baseball in a little while, so I'm fascinated to see where you want to go.
So, Doc, when I look at this point of the season, this is the point where things are about to get important. Obviously, the middle part of the season in SWAC play, and so obviously FAMU and Bethune-Cookman, their play at the top of the conference doesn't really come as much of a surprise. David just kind of alluded to it about being the two Florida schools, but I think that what's interesting that you have like Grambling, Alabama State, Prairie View, Southern, for whatever reason, just in my mind, just based off the tradition of those teams and how they've done in recent years or over the years, I don't see them. One of those teams in that bunch is not going to stay there by the end of the season. I don't know which one yet, but I have a good feeling somewhere between Grambling, Prairie View, or Southern, somebody's gonna make a run throughout the second half of the season. I just don't know which team it's gonna be yet. Alabama State is playing strong. You kind of alluded to it. They won their last three. Like I said, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, obviously the top two teams, on the in the conference or what have you. But I definitely think one of those teams between Grambling, Prairie View, and Southern are going to make a run. That's just that you can document me saying that on April 10th. That one of those teams are going to make a run.
That's going to be interesting because what I would get concerned about those teams there, particularly like you see at the top. I know Grambling and Southern play, Prairie View, Southern play, but will those teams kind of cannibalize each other?
Right.
Where you get to play maybe those teams at the bottom of the conference to push your way out, or will you find a way to get some of those teams at the top and take 2 out of 3 or find a way to get the broom out, which is really what those teams in the middle need to do. They're going to make up some ground. That's the challenge you got. Yep. Is that you got to play above what the other teams are playing. You can't just match them taking 2 out of 3. You got to get some sweeps in here. And you certainly can't get swept, and you can't really lose a series. Or you're just fighting to really make the tournament and looking at your seeding in that bottom 4 of the top 8. Let me go to you. So I'm fascinated with what you said there, Wilton, to see who can make that move. And you're right. One of those teams probably will. But it'll be interesting which one of those teams will. Brian, where are you at? I know your chest is out and deservedly so. You do have your baseball shirt on, so you're appropriate dressed in terms of this time of the year. But what is on your mind in terms of the SWAC with all this baseball action going on?
Right. Obviously, besides our dominating win over Jackson State over the weekend, 5 wins in 6 meetings by baseball and softball. It was a great weekend to beat the Tigers. We celebrate those type of weekends whenever we can get them. So Jackson State fans, they can talk about us today. They're having their laughs, ha ha ha. But it's painful what we did to y'all all week. But anyway, what's fascinating, that's why this rivalry is so fun. I never thought we'd come to the SWAC and find a new friend in Jackson State. We were so stuck on beating up on Bethune-Cookman that we had to get out of the state, and we found a new friend, new frenemy. I guess that's what we can call him, right? Is that a good word, Wilton?
Yeah. Frenemy. I like it.
Frenemy,
so,
frenemy.
I'm looking at Texas Southern schedule, and Doc, your people, they're gonna be upset with me on this. Boy, you talk about feasting on a soft. I mean, where's my Charmin at? The schedule at the beginning of the season could not be any softer. You have gotten sweeps over Alcorn State. They're so low, they don't even come up over the advertising.
Be nice.
Okay. Then you got a sweep over Alabama A&M. You swept Mississippi Valley State, the 4th worst team. And guess who's coming to town? I don't know. Are they coming to town or are you going there? Hold on. Let me look at the schedule. They're coming to town.
Yeah.
UAPB. So, I mean, man, all 4 of the first half of the season, 4 of the 5 series are against the worst programs right now, according to schedule. I mean, kids play hard, coaches coach hard, great. But production-wise, they're the worst of the worst right now. And hey, you'll walk out of the first half of the season with a 13-2 record. Congratulations. Then the reality will hit y'all down the stretch. As now, Prairie View, look, we swept Prairie View, so maybe, but that's a rival. So I get that's going to be contentious. But after that, then you get Alabama State, Southern, FAMU, Bethune. 9 of the last 12 are against the top 4 teams. Man, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. So, if Texas Southern can maybe win I don't know, 3 or 4 of those down the stretch. I mean, who knows, man? Y'all, Texas Southern might find themselves hanging around for a second, third seed. Who knows? I mean, not gonna say that conference, not saying the conference title is in line, but anything is possible. As a great former NBA Hall of Famer screamed after he won a title.
That's why you guys got to take over. Y'all gotta rep the West, Dr. Cavil. Rep the West.
The way he's out here dropping these. I thought we would be in the mix, and I was gonna go tell Coach Robinson, let's go, and he broke it down. It's like
enjoy these 2 weekends.
You gotta rep the West. Take out. Listen,
enjoy.
I had to deal with this when we were in the MEAC. Take down the Florida schools. Take them down.
I'm with you.
Take down the Florida schools, man.
We won't stay long on this because it's just not good talk. Norfolk State is at the bottom of the NEC. They've lost 7 straight, 1-11 in conference. Delaware State is 2-13 in conference. They lost 14 straight. Maryland Eastern Shore is 3-12. They lost 9 straight. Coppin State has least moved out of the bottom 4. They had 5-7 and they won 3 straight. So credit to Coppin State of playing a little bit there. And then unfortunately, we just saw that A&T that had got off a pretty good stretch in terms of what they do in conference play. Had a tough game last night. So it's interesting in terms of what they're trying to do in terms of conference play. So
still 5-4 in conference. We still tied for third.
It's a winning record.
Y'all still up there for now.
Yes,
up there for now. I mean, I'm gonna try to catch them when they play Northeastern up here in Boston. So it's up there for now.
Hey, you got a winning record in the conference play.
Yeah,
you at least have a chance when you're doing that. They got to do a little work, but at least in the mix. In terms of being 5-4, that puts you 2 games back
out of first.
From that perspective, you're just talking about a series.
Yep.
Northeastern, as you mentioned, sit at 7-2. While A&T sits at 5-4, and they have they're tied with Delaware, College of Charleston at 5-4, while William Mary's at 6-3. So that gives you a little update from that perspective. I did want to shout out softball. FAMU is getting it done in softball as well in the East.
What?
Division is still split. Yep. FAMU is getting it done in softball. They sit at 15-7. That's the new coach coming in and doing it. They've won 2 straight. They're 11-4. Right behind them sits Jackson State, Bethune-Cookman, both at 9-5. And Alabama State is still in the race at 9-6, as they're 2 games back in the loss column. When you go over to the West, we can get back to those Texas schools. Prairie View at 11-3. Texas Southern at 10-5. Both of them have lost 1 game, losing streak there. But you see the race in the West. And while my friends over there on O&G Strike Zone talk about how much power is in the East, and I think you're right when you look at the top 4. You got to say that. But, Prairie View has come into the softball tournament 1, so we're going to give them a little love. Texas Southern, not so much. They've had some decent runs in the tournament, so it'll be interesting to see if they can switch that. So there's at least 2 teams in the West that'll get it going. Alcorn did have a nice run a couple of years ago in terms of what that looks like, but struggling a little bit this year. So that's your updates on the softball side of things. From that perspective, obviously, when you talk about the SIC, you have Savannah State behind Spring Hill, Edward Waters and Miles. Turns you top there, 21-2, 18-6, 16-8, 13-9, respectively, for those teams in the top of the conference. Take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, and then we'll talk about some matchups. We'll stay on the dirt. We'll talk about some of these key games coming up this week and see what these gentlemen say about some of these key matchups. And to me, there's only 2 really look at, but we'll see if they think differently. With that, we'll take our last break and come back on the side and do just that. Talk about some of these baseball matchups.
It's like a loop machine. Going around town, trying to get down. It's like a loop machine.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Professor Rose, Professor Fulford, Professor Jackson in the lab talking about some baseball. I'm gonna go through all of these and then ask if you have anything. I don't think there's two to talk about, but you might want to say more instead of less. FAMU at Mississippi Valley. I think this is one of your expectation that FAMU will sweep. It is on the road, so Valley can help themselves to try to make sure they push for that A spot if they can at least get one of these games. Somehow they can get 2 or 3 and get the series. We're going to have to look a little differently at the Delta Devils for sure. Then you have Bethune-Cookman on the road to Alabama A&M. Tough road trip maybe. Alabama A&M, can they find a way to get one? Got to believe that Bethune-Cookman, the Wildcats, will continue to do what they do and sweep. You have here in Houston this weekend, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Texas Southern. Sometimes those teams, different coach now, but sometimes those teams would have some matchups that would get interesting, and Pine Bluff could find a way to get one. There was a year where they came in here and got 2 or 3 where they were really rolling. But thus far, even though Brian seems to be a little doubting the Texas Southern Tigers, you probably see Texas Southern getting it done here. They need to get the sweep. I will agree with Brian there. When you play the Dogs, you better make sure you knock them out because you don't want to catch the fleas. That being said, you have Alcorn State at Southern. This is a series that Southern would want to get right on. It's at home. Pat the stats. Which they're doing pretty well in a couple of players with the bats, but need to get those wins. The 2 that I'm looking at, Grambling at Prairie View, Jackson State at Alabama State. If Jackson State is going to make that move where we said one of those 4 teams, this is the series Wilton where they can start that. So of those 6 matchups, are you with me in terms of ones we're looking at, or are you going in a different direction? Which one are you going to talk about in terms of those matchups?
Oh, I think for me, definitely it's Jackson State and Alabama State this weekend. This is a series that Jackson State could really use, to the point of what you just said, could really use to kind of kickstart some things for the second half of the SWAC season. And I feel like they have the pieces to do it. A series win like this will really catapult them and give them some additional confidence. I feel like that would prepare them for that second half. Sometimes it only takes that one series that can really make a difference. And this is a traditional Jackson State baseball team that over time may not always start strong, but typically they finish strong, and then when they get to the tournament, they always have strong outings. May not necessarily compete for a SWAC championship, but they've been known to have a strong program when it matters the most. So this could be the start to that.
Good stuff. David?
I have to agree with you, Wilton, man. I think Jackson and Alabama State is the one. Like, that's the series. If they're gonna make a run to try to get into that top 4 and keep the momentum going, they gotta do damage here. A sweep would be optimal, but at minimum, they gotta win the series.
Yep.
And hopefully your best pitcher, Elliott, is going to be pitching for you guys. Y'all going to need him.
And to your point, you want to get out that 8 slot. Because the 8 slot is not going to help you. You facing number
You're going to end up facing FAMU of Bethune-Cookman, man.
Right.
Exactly. You don't want
7,
that.
I think you don't want a part of that either. You're playing Bethune-Cookman.
You need to get up to 6. You need to get to 6.
That 8 and kind of you can slide one in there and get that winter bracket and make some magic happen. But I think you want to at least get in that 6th spot.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a chance, to go deep and take your chances in the tournament. I'm not sure about 7 or 8. With that being said, Brian, can I sell you on the Grambling Prairie View, or are you going to stick with Jackson Alabama State?
I'm glad you said that, because that's a matchup where I recall going back to seeing those two teams at the Cactus Jack, and I recall watching them, and I'm gonna tell you what, I will not be surprised, and I say this as I just was looking at the pitching of both of these teams. Don't be shocked when you see these scores this weekend. Grambling and Prairie View, whatever the over is, if it's over 9.5 runs, take it. If it's 10.5 runs, take it. Both of these pitching staffs are giving up 8 and 9 runs. Yep. This will look like a football score. You're gonna look at the scores and be like 13-10, or they play football.
14-8.
Right, exactly. You're gonna see. I guarantee we're gonna look back and we're gonna see scores like that, and you're gonna see. I mean, first team to 10.
We're talking about the 2-point conversion is good.
Yes. I mean, this is
what is pitching when it's Grambling and Prairie View, huh?
Look, when I seen Grambling put
out the bat
somebody in the beginning of the year, that told me all I needed to know right there.
I mean, but the fun part of baseball is the hitting. So,
but you still need some good pitching to win some games too, though.
I mean, playoff time is when pitching time matters, but during the season, it's hitting time, guys.
But unfortunately, Dave, unlike in Little League, they don't stop for time. So you can end up in the first 3 innings. It can take 2 hours for the first 3 innings if the score is 15-10.
Hey, we talking about the budgets. You sell a lot of concession, though.
I'm telling you.
Are you selling beer? Because that's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need some beer in those stadiums.
You don't want your guys
I will say
napping.
this: at Prairie View, they do have beer. They do.
Y'all doing good.
There you go. There you go.
Some things right there.
They do have beer.
I'm
just saying. I'm not saying that I partake in it, but I've seen them pour the cans.
You can call it bad baseball all you want. I mean, I'm just gonna call it, just whatever it is. They're gonna have to institute some time limits. They say, well, this
yeah, they're gonna bring the pitch clock. The pitch clock gonna return. The pitch clock gonna make an appearance in the college at some point. It's coming.
Yeah,
they had a pitch clock now. They had a pitch clock. Probably that's not gonna stop when you're hitting it. That just means you got to deliver the ball. But if they hitting it, not getting out,
isn't there a rule? There's like a high school rule.
You're talking about an inning clock. There's no inning clock.
Yes, like 10 runs. You got 10 runs in 45 minutes. We can't go longer than 10 runs in 45 minutes, whichever comes first. I'm just saying.
That's good. That's good stuff. But so it'll be interesting to see what as we get that halfway mark. We really get in some good discussion next week to see, who's in the lead of the pack. Do we believe we got any indication of who may be able to pull off from some other teams? Is it going to stay close down the race? Whether that's at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. We can talk about that a little bit. Shifting gears, I want to give some final love to softball in regards to it's going to be nice in Montgomery. They have Jackson State at Alabama State on the softball side as well. Montgomery on Saturday, particularly, is going to be really nice with double hitter down there to see what goes on. Baseball and softball, a lot of action. Other places, teams on the opposite side, Alabama A&M and FAMU face off, but that's in Tallahassee. You have Prairie View is going to Arkansas Pine Bluff in those matchups, and you have Texas Southern at Southern in Baton Rouge, and you have Grambling at Alcorn and Longman. So interesting there, but Bethune-Cookman at Mississippi Valley. So not much in those. I think the one to look at over there is Jackson State and Alabama State as well in terms of what goes on the softball side of things to get into action. MEAC gives some love in terms of what's going on. The MEAC, fascinating what they're doing on the softball side. They do have that sport in softball and the SIAC and CIAA. So just wanted to touch on a little bit about that there. Come to close, I do have an update. I've officially understand that Grambling will make a official announcement in terms of the basketball coach. Sounds like we know what it is, but you'll hear something at 10 o'clock in the morning. Official announcement will be made. O'Brien is like, yeah, it's official now.
It's all right, man.
A little more
people lose coaches every day.
With that being said, Brian, essentially after 10 o'clock tomorrow, FAMU is on the clock.
We're on the clock now.
You were on the clock before. You probably was on the clock before Liv reported it. Sir.
Yeah. Oh no, when you could see the contract.
I've been reaching out to Angela Suggs.
We'll have a coach by Monday.
Will it get through the board by then?
Suggs in terms of this conference, now I understand why she's been so busy. So,
yes. And Dave, to answer your question, yes, and why? Because it'll be someone that the board probably wanted in the first place.
Okay.
I have inside information.
I was trying to get him off the hook, David. You just
look, man. I'm about to do two. Look, I'm gonna do at least an hour on this tonight on MD, so it's gonna be fun tonight.
Conversation around. And David is good at what he does. He pulled it back out. Pull it back out. Come on, Brian. Pull it out. Feed the wolves. Feed the wolves.
The rope is thin. The rope is thin. The rope is thin.
Let's get out of here and close things up. I want to say thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, I want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll get your baseball on this weekend or some softball, get into some action, check out your team. We look forward to the next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, that's Facebook or Instagram. Threads, that's DrKenyattaCavil. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big, continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Brian?
Of course.
Wilton?
Lecture.
David?
Dismissed.